Spiderman, Spiderman does whatever a spider can. Thwip, 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 thwip.
Watch me thwip.
Watch me swang swang.
Watch me swang swang.
We in.
What are we talking about, dude?
We're talking about Spider-Man.
The people that are listening to this just
have no idea.
Pure audio.
Yep,
yeah,
that's true.
They're just like riding in their cars right now. Kyle's like doing.
I'm doing the little web shooter thing.
Yeah.
Here, I'll make a thwip, thwip. Now they know I'm doing it. They can hear it. Thwip. There it is. Yeah, we're talking Spider-Man: Far From Home. Far From Home.
This is our third Spider-Man.
I mean, we had an entire
spoiler.
Week.
Yeah,
we had an entire week dedicated to
There's
Spider-Man.
really only 2 spoiler episodes, which is a lot.
But it's still Spider-Man week.
True.
We did Spider-Man 3 and Spider-Verse that week, right? Yeah. Now, Far From Home. And there will be more Spider-Man episodes. I guarantee it. There's going to be a third Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. There's going to be a second Spider-Verse movie. Maybe we'll go back and revisit other Spider-Mans. I don't know. Let's do a spoiler episode on the 90s cartoon. We'll watch all of it. Do a spoiler episode.
I would actually be down with that.
That show's great. One of the GOAT theme songs of all time. Spider blood, radioactive spider blood. That shit's so good. Was that the 90s? Was that the 2000s?
I think
that's
2000s.
That's late 90s, early 2000s?
Like, I think we want to say 90s because it's just like tied into our childhood, but we were still
I think it was maybe
young.
late 90s, early 2000s. Because I feel like it's, I don't know, it's like around the same time as the X-Men show.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, all right, let's talk about this movie. Returning director John Watts, returning cast members Tom Holland, Zendaya, Jacob Batalon, etc., etc., etc. New cast member Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal's so good. Samuel Jackson's in this one. Jon Favreau's around again. Marissa Tomei again. Lots of people. What'd you think?
The movie was a lot of
Did
fun.
you
man.
love it as much
So
as
you've
me?
seen it. You've seen it twice now.
I saw it again yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I remember, so on the night that we saw it, we went out with Kate to go see Spider-Man, and I wanted to like do this episode like pretty much that night, because I enjoyed it so much. It was just a really fun. So, what are your thoughts on the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man thing? And we've also had like pretty extensive conversations with our buddy Paul, who's a huge Spider-Man fan, and
me and Paul have had lots of long.
Yeah,
we had a very long conversation about Mysterio once.
Really,
and that's why I want him to see this movie so bad. I think he might be going to see it tomorrow. And
that's another thing that I want to bring up and put out into the world is I don't really know shit about Mysterio. I've read specific Spider-Man like graphic novels, just like singular comic books. But like I've never gone all the way through. I don't know much about the history and stuff like that. So that's where I'm at. So I have much more of a blank slate coming into this movie than you or Paul would.
I wish that there was a version of me that could watch this movie not knowing who Mysterio was.
Yeah.
When the trailer came out for this movie, we talked about it on the show. And I was like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. Mysterio's lying about everything. He's going to betray him.
Right.
I wish I didn't know that. I wish I could go through this movie and feel that twist. Remember how we felt in Spider-Man Homecoming when we found out that Michael Keaton is the father of Liz?
That was the big twist.
That is one of, if not my favorite scene in the entire MCU. All of it.
Yeah.
I never got a moment that impactful in this movie. That like the peak of that moment didn't happen with me because the betrayal or the reveal or whatever, I already knew. I already expected it. It was just a matter of how are they going to execute it. It's going to be interesting. And they did a great job with it. I loved it. But I wish there's a version of me who, like that scene when he's in the bar and then he dematerializes his projections, his holograms, and then he just sort of he just goes, that wasn't that hard now, was it? And you're just like, oh, he's been playing Peter the whole time.
Yeah. No, like I did come in with a blank slate, but I also I'm not sure how much of it was, you know, like hearing your voice in my ear before the movie and like knowing that like Mysterio is most likely going to turn out to be a bad guy, right? Or if it like how obvious was it just through the trailers, you know, that like he was going to end up being a bad guy. I'm not sure exactly where the inception of that idea was coming from, but like, yeah, I did know going in for sure that Mysterio was going to end up being a bad guy. So it wasn't necessarily the fact that it happened wasn't surprising, but like in the way that he was doing it was really interesting. Like I said, I don't know shit about Mysterio. Is that something that's like the drones and the projections and stuff?
That's a very good modern take on Mysterio. It's like the perfect modern real MCU version of Mysterio. Mysterio is an illusionist and a failed actor.
Okay.
And he has weird tech. So like he has weird technology. So
he's not like
he's not a magician.
So he's not like based with magic.
No.
He's not like.
I think there's a point in comic continuity where he has gotten real magic at some point.
Okay.
OG Mysterio, the classic idea of him. No, he uses technology.
Okay.
So the drone stuff is perfect.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
But like they kind of, without talking about it, they implemented ideas of that backstory that like he's an actor in this movie. If you think about it, he's playing this role and he's like selling. There's moments where like when Jake Gyllenhaal's on that bridge in the final confrontation and he's like switching between who he's talking to and he's performing as Mysterio and then he's talking to his crew and then he's like acting like all scared to Nick Fury. He's acting throughout this movie in different roles.
I mean, they're literally rehearsing in a theater.
Yeah.
Him and his team, you know, like there's choreography, like they mentioned choreography.
He literally says, I'm not in love with the choreography of this, but it'll work.
And he has writers and shit like that. Like
he has costume department.
Yeah. So they don't specifically say that he's an actor, but that's
what he's
doing.
It informs the character.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Definitely.
I love the callback they did with, this is like, in terms of major MCU, this is the end of Phase 3 or whatever. Technically speaking, this is the last movie of Phase 3. And we're probably going to find out, what is today? 7th? Come on, phone. Yeah, 7th. We're going to find out in like 2 weeks at Comic-Con what they've got planned specifically for Phase 4. We know kind of generally, but we don't know the order and we don't know. I don't know if they'll give us any news or anything. But, the way they sort of utilized that was making this movie very much about the way that Peter felt about Tony Stark and the pressure he was feeling after the death of Tony Stark. I don't feel bad about spoiling it. Tom Holland made a little video that said if you haven't seen Endgame, don't see the Spider-Man trailer.
Right.
So we're good. If you're here for the spoilers on the movie, then you're past the level of spoilers for the trailer. Yeah, so I liked that not only was it about like Tony's legacy through Peter, but Tony's legacy through people he's quote unquote wronged, whether or not he was in the right to fire Quentin Beck, because he does seem like, you know, he is unstable, as Tony apparently said to him, but he also kind of wronged him. You know what I mean? So seeing the two sides of Tony Stark being portrayed here as his legacy is interesting to me.
Yeah.
But I love the callback to like Iron Man 1. Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. Any chance to see that? Jeff Bridges just yelling that? I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah, that was interesting. That little like montage they showed of like all the people that have been wronged tertiarily through what Tony Stark has done. And yeah, like Quentin Beck is a fucked up person, but like
he was wronged. He's just overreacting.
Do you have to fucking exacerbate it by calling his life's work barf or whatever?
Barf. Binary augmented
reality field.
Reality framing or something. Edith, even dead. Even
I want to talk about this.
I'm the hero.
That was good. Let's talk about the casting for Mysterio.
It's incredible.
It's fucking perfect.
It's
right?
so
Jake
good.
Gyllenhaal is so perfect.
It's so
as that
good
character
because he's so good at both roles.
Exactly.
He's so good at both roles. He plays inspiring hero and mentor to Spider-Man, and he plays crazed out, wronged genius psychopath, and he's great at both of them.
you
it's so
buy him being Peter's friend while also like
He's amazing
him
in those scenes.
threatening his own team
Yeah.
in their lives when
Yeah.
he fucking puts fucking
Yeah, he
drone
puts all the
lasers.
drone lasers on them. Yeah. Oh man, he's
Really good casting.
so good in the scenes where he's a friend to Peter.
Mm-hmm.
That even though I knew it was coming, I was still like heartbroken when
Yeah.
when the betrayal is revealed.
Yeah.
Oh man, so good. I'll say this about Mysterio: the scene when Spider-Man goes to Berlin to try to tell Nick Fury that Mysterio is a villain, and Mysterio has the setup with all the holograms and stuff. That is everything that I could ever dream of wanting out of a scene in a Mysterio Spider-Man movie.
Right.
That was perfect.
It was awesome.
so cool, and it ended him getting hit by a fucking train.
Yeah.
Brutal. So good. And the levels of deception to it, like when he acts like he got shot by Nick Fury, but then he was really just Nick Fury. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect. That scene's amazing.
It's always keeping
Gross
you guessing.
zombie Iron Man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. It's just really fucked up psychologically,
Mm-hmm.
and like obviously like Spider-Man couldn't fight his way through and shit. It was just a really good scene.
Yeah.
Um.
He couldn't access that Peter tingle.
Yeah, man. What is it? They literally didn't say spider sense throughout the entire
They've
movie.
never said spider sense, I don't think. And
They
they've-
haven't done that in Tom Holland's.
No. Well,
universe
that was kind of a, I don't want to say complaint, but it was like something people realized from the first movie. They were like, "Wait, does Peter not have spider sense? Because he's like getting fucked up all the time."
Right.
And then people are like, "Why doesn't he know like things are coming his way?" So I like the idea that it's like he's kind of like growing into his powers still.
Yeah. It's
But,
got like that Smallville aspect.
yeah,
to it,
kind
where
of.
yeah.
But they've also never fully said the with great power comes great responsibility line. They've beat around the bush a few times. In this movie, he literally says, "I have so much responsibility." Like you can tell it's ingrained into who he is as a character, but they've never said it. And I think part of it's like the whole, do we need to see the pearl necklace fall off of Martha Wayne's neck ever again? You know what I mean?
Right.
Do we ever need to hear someone say with great power comes great
Well,
responsibility?
and I think
I would love to see it down the line in a flashback. Because I just think it's really powerful. I think it's one of one of the most iconic mission statements for a superhero.
yeah.
And we don't know anything about this version of Peter's relation to whoever his Uncle Ben was. There was a slight, I don't know if you caught it, his suitcase he uses has Uncle Ben's initials on it.
Oh, no, I didn't catch that.
So the suitcase he uses to go to Europe says BFP on it.
I'm really interested in the
who
idea.
who locked down Marissa Tomei? That had to be a special dude.
Word. I'm really interested in the idea of like, and this is something that is applicable to a lot of superhero movies that are getting rebooted a lot, right? Spider-Man is like a perfect example of like these
three different Spider-Mans.
three different
Live
Spider-Mans. And the Tom Holland movies have done really well in separating themselves from the pack and mimicking what makes Spider-Man great while also not like
They are not
separating too
adherent
much
to
from-
it.
Yeah, exactly.
They're doing a great job of balancing what makes classic Spider-Man classic and what is our MCU version of Spider-Man. They've done such a good job of bridging those two things.
But it's just like it seems like there's a lot of games that they're playing here with these Tom Holland Spider-Man movies where they're like, okay, how much can we kind of separate from what we've already seen in Spider-Man movies while also still making a Spider-Man movie, right? Like, okay, he's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but we're gonna put him in Europe.
Yeah.
What does a Spider-Man movie still look like in Europe?
yeah, what is Peter's like reaction to that?
Because like as you know, as synergistic as like fucking as New York is with Spider-Man,
It's perfect.
you know how important is it ultimately if you can put Spider-Man in Europe? Because like the most important thing is the people,
Yeah.
right? The fact that he's trying to protect his friends,
Yeah.
and you just see like a lot of sort of interesting innovations with the Tom Holland universe. Like, so if he's not wearing a red and blue suit, you know, let's put him in an all black suit. Is he still Spider-Man?
Fuck yeah,
that
he's
way?
still. Well, I mean, he's the Night Monkey, but
He might be the Night Monkey.
God, it's so good. This movie's so freaking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I agree with you 100%. You can take the spider out of the neighborhood, but you can't take the neighborhood out of the spider.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We haven't even mentioned that this movie, not only is this movie an amazing superhero movie, it's an amazing teen rom-com
Yes.
at the same time.
Definitely.
Like, it's so good.
Definitely. Well, like, so Kate, the first thing that she said when we walked out, she wasn't like super excited, and she was just like, oh, like interested. She's seen Homecoming already, but the first thing that she said when she walked out was like, I loved all the romance.
It's so good.
The romance is really fucking.
It's
enjoyable.
so freaking good, dude.
It's really enjoyable. And
not just between Peter and MJ, but between Ned and Betty, dude. That is such a good bit. That is a hysterical bit.
It's solid. It's a
God,
solid
it's so
bit.
good.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of really good character development, really good, just funny moments from every character.
Dude, Martin Starr is going
Martin
in
Starr
this
trying
movie.
to.
There was
going
like
there.
Martin Starr let it bleed out in the first movie a little bit when he said I couldn't lose another student on a field trip. Not again.
Yeah.
He like let it bleed out a little bit. In this movie, he's like at 100% the whole time,
Yeah.
just being like a paranoid teacher about
Yeah.
shit. And you know what? I was a little worried when I saw JB Smoove was going to be in it because
Right.
JB Smoove, like, I think he's a funny guy, but he has a tendency to like, I think, overplay his bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where he can like he steps a little bit too much on the toes of the people around him.
Okay.
With his like level of charisma that he has.
Right.
In this movie, I thought he was perfect. He was like just being this weird. He's talking about witches and taking Ambien and shit. He's just super weird. He's like, I'm trying to be a cool. Like when he talks to Brad about taking pictures in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a cool teacher here. You can't do that. Not in the urinals. Not in the stalls.
Was Brad's character in the first movie? Wasn't he?
No, because he was like a middle schooler.
I just didn't know if we
Let's
saw
talk
him
about that a
show
little
up.
bit. So we knew we were gonna get a different perspective of what they're calling the blip.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny.
And they address it really, really well right off the
Dude, I can't tell you how funny. So that's 2 movies in a row where they've done this. They do what we would think of as the beach, because that's what we called it in high school, our
Yeah.
school news.
Yeah.
Their school news bits are so freaking good. How bad they are.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Holy, the Getty images on the candles
That's
with
hilarious.
Whitney Houston playing.
It's
Oh
hilarious.
my God.
It's so
the
overly
blurry
generic.
picture of Vision.
Yeah.
Holy shit, it's so good. And the kid from Bumblebee, I don't remember his name. The co-anchor, not
Right.
Betty Brant, but the co-anchor.
The one that cussed.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's so funny.
Uh-huh.
He's so oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
solid.
good.
But it was just it was funny. And it was like
and it caught us up to speed really quick.
it's just really good way to
Yeah.
introduce exposition.
Yeah.
Because like it's just creative. It's a creative way to be like, okay, this is how we can explain something to.
Yeah, but while being in the fucking context of what this movie in this world is,
Yeah.
and being funny and entertaining.
Because it's a complex thing that you have to address, and you have to address it early on because
Yeah, like why are all these kids still in high school? Oh well, they got dusted.
yeah. Why are they still in high school? Like who is this random? Because
She's mad about
that
having to repeat
exposition-
junior year.
That exposition colors so much of the jokes with Brad and shit, and the plot lines of Brad trying to
Get with
compete
MJ,
with
yeah.
Peter for MJ and stuff. So
I wasn't expecting that. That was a fun little wrinkle they threw in. Because it was like, we know that's like what I guess you call it like the B plot. Peter's B plot, B arc is like this relationship thing. His like the main arc of the movie is probably more the, becoming the hero he is or whatever, classic superhero shit.
yeah.
But I wasn't expecting the foil thrown in. Usually the foil for Peter is just him being Peter. Like for his the foil for Peter's personal life is always him being Spider-Man. Now there's an extra wrench thrown in.
Yeah.
Not only is it him being Spider-Man and Nick Fury wanting to get his attention, now there's this fucking hot dude trying to get with the girl he likes.
Dude, I love just fucking moments of like I've talked about this with Interstellar before, right? Like just the moments of like supreme utter confidence, and in the wake like of imminent death,
Yeah.
and you
Like
see
I'm gonna
that,
dock it.
The I'm gonna dock it scene from Interstellar is like a perfect example, but the Peter Tingle scene in the hallway,
Dude.
when he ultimately beats
Yeah.
Mysterio is so fucking fun.
Have you thought about the ramifications of how brutal the death attempt is there?
Yeah.
Is there a more brutal attempted kill scene in the MCU than Jake Gyllenhaal point blank blowing the brains out of Spider-Man?
Yeah.
It's hardcore.
Yeah.
And when he does the catch,
Yeah.
and Tom Holland is in it. Tom Holland is an incredible actor. He's incredible.
Yeah.
He's like the level of emotion that there's scenes where he's wearing the Night Monkey suit and he's just
All you see
emoting
is his
through his
eyes.
eyes, and I can't believe how much you get from him in those scenes. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But that shot when he grabs the wrist
Yeah.
and stops the gunshot, and he's just like, it's all like fury and anger and confidence and
Right.
kind of pity. Like there's so much and betrayal. There's so much in what he's giving you right there. It's amazing.
But like I think that also, you know, it goes back to this idea of like how much can you take away from a Spider-Man movie while still keeping it a Spider-Man movie, right? Like, and I think Paul, when we had a conversation about whether or not Spider-Man
Could be an Avenger.
could be an Avenger or whatever, and we were like semi-trolling him as far as just like calling Spider-Man an Avenger, but he was bringing up like a lot of really good points about what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man, and I think ultimately like what makes really interesting superhero movies, right? Like, because it was really important in Smallville as well, right? Like all of the things that that make Peter, right? Like he can't simultaneously be Peter and be Spider-Man at the same time. And every time he tries to be more of Spider-Man, it takes away from Peter and vice versa.
And vice versa, exactly.
Right? And
That's
I thought
the most classic thing about Spider-Man, probably.
and
is-
I would say a
is
lot
that,
of superhero movies as well.
but specifically the character of Peter
Spider-Man?
Parker is like the balance of the, because like I think part of it is how rich his supporting cast is, both in his personal life and his villains.
Right.
It's the best supporting cast in all of comics. The only one that I think that gets close is Batman. But the thing with Batman that's different is that he doesn't give a fuck about his personal life.
Yeah.
Like the Bruce Wayne thing where it's like, oh, he's really Batman. Bruce Wayne is the mask, and he's always just pretending to be a play. And like his his supporting cast is like Alfred and his kids he adopted.
Yeah.
And they're all superheroes. So it's very different than Peter's.
Yeah, like even like because there are plot lines in Batman movies where he's like trying to, you know, put down the cowl and kind
Some
of
of the
have a
movies
normal
have them, yeah.
I mean,
the Dark Knight Rises did it.
It's in the Dark Knight as well.
That's true. It is in the Dark Knight a little bit.
Like
yeah.
it's definitely a part of the Nolan trilogy.
In the Nolan trilogy, yeah.
But it's also like not one of the more compelling things about the Nolan trilogy. Whereas like this movie, I mean, I fucking loved that. I thought it was really compelling because you buy Peter, the fact that, you know, that inner struggle that he has between trying to be Peter and trying to be Spider-Man.
You want to know what else you buy? You buy the fact that a 15, 16-year-old kid is just stressed out.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff that he's gone through in, you know, since Spider-Man Homecoming, including Spider-Man Homecoming. His girlfriend's dad is a supervillain, tries to kill him. He has to fight Captain America and his friends. He gets sucked. He goes into space. He gets dusted, like, and now he's got to deal with this shit. It's like classic Spider-Man. It's never ending. It's just constant bullshit happening to him, and he can't get a break.
Yeah, definitely.
He just wants to take a little vacation, dude. A little vacay. Just wants to kiss MJ on the Eiffel Tower.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all he wants to do.
God, the execution of that whole romance stuff is so good. His just like his plan with Ned and Ned being like, let's go be American bachelors. If I know one thing, it's that Europeans love Americans.
Yeah, there's a lot of like really good jokes there. Can we talk about the weirdness of MJ a little bit?
Yeah, she's
Okay.
amazing.
It's amazing, but it's also like, do you get like Kyrie vibes from MJ a little bit?
I think she's.
There's a lot of-
I think the character of Michelle, aka MJ, played by Zendaya, is already smarter than Kyrie.
Yeah,
Yeah, she like actually
Yeah.
knows things. She's just a weirdo.
but there's like a lot of like kind of just conspiratory.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like get a VPN on your phone so the government can't track you. Like weird shit. Yeah,
Like-
she's super weird.
So like,
And I like that
love
Peter.
her character.
I love
I'm
that
not-
Peter talks about that. He's like, she's like really funny in a dark way. Like he's like into it. Yeah, I think she's amazing, and it's kind of this weird situation we're in, MCU versus source material wise. Like, is she Mary Jane? Is she because she goes by MJ, but her name is Michelle in the first movie. That's what she's credited as on IMDb. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, are they going to introduce Mary Jane later? Are they ever going to introduce Gwen Stacy? I don't know. Like, it's a weird sort of game they're playing with it.
Yeah.
And I would be totally cool if they were like, we're just going to take things in an entirely different direction.
Like,
it's
there's
a
not
similar
gonna be a Mary Jane
It's a similar
Watson.
skeleton to the high school romance of his high school love is Mary Jane. In this, it's Michelle MJ.
Yeah.
But I said this to you. There's a few things in this movie that are like kind of references or drawn from the Spider-Man video game on PS4.
Right.
One thing I would love for them to do down the line, because I think what's going to happen is we're going to get two Spider-Man trilogies. I think we're going to get the high school trilogy and then the like young adult trilogy, basically, which I think is really cool. I'm still gonna bet that the next movie is called Senior Year. That's gonna be my bet, or graduation or something. Senior Year would be good.
Yeah.
But like I think there's the character of Mary Jane in that video game doesn't follow the traditional what Mary Jane does. You know, like traditionally Mary Jane is like a model or an actress and stuff like that. In that video game, she's a journalist, which is like a tropey, like superhero love interest is a journalist thing. It happens a lot, but it works so well in that game. And it makes the dynamic between Peter and Mary Jane in that game really interesting. And there's a kind of a throwaway line in the scene where the drones are coming in and they all confess something about themselves in that vault.
Yeah.
And Happy's like, I'm in love with Spider-Man's aunt. And they all say weird things. And Ned's like, I've wasted my life playing video games. MJ says, I'm obsessed with telling the truth, even if it hurts people. And I'm like, dude, that's a mission statement for a character.
Yeah.
That's a character mission statement.
Yeah.
And it would be perfect for
her
that
to be a journalist.
Yeah, for her to be like obsessed with finding the truth in stories. It would be so interesting. And I would love to see Zendaya explore that because I think she's great. But yeah.
It could be really interesting for her character, and obviously like it would put her in a lot of like dangerous situations, you know, fucking Has Peter shown any kind of like has there been any hints as far as
photography
stuff?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's say, for example, Mary Jane goes to school to be a journalist and she gets an internship at the Daily Bugle.
Yeah.
Right? And then Peter's like, well, that's my girlfriend. I want to spend time with her, and I'm always being Spider-Man in my free time, so I'll try to, you know, be a freelance photographer so I can go hang out at the Daily Bugle.
Yeah.
It kind of works. I feel like if I were projecting, if my guess is right about 2 trilogies, the next movie would be Senior Year. And then after that, it's this weird thing where, like, in the MCU, post-high school Peter Parker could just go be an Avenger, right? Just in terms of realisticness.
Yeah.
But, like, I also would completely buy the fact that Peter wouldn't want to do that. He would want to try to live as normal a life as possible.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to have to see. We have to talk about the post-credit stuff, because who knows what kind of impact that's going to have on not just the next Spider-Man movie and Peter's storyline going forward, but on the MCU in general, what that's going to do. But I kind of love the idea of Peter just being like, you know, the second trilogy, movie 1, Peter's a photographer. He's in graduate, you know, he's trying to become a scientist because that's what Peter does.
Yeah.
And there's a part in the comics that I've read. There's like a stretch of stories where like Peter's day job isn't a photographer anymore. He's a high school teacher, and it works so good. He's like a science teacher in high school, and I love it.
Yeah.
It's so good. So there's lots of branches you could take Peter.
Yeah, there's different like adaptations you can take. Like, does he have to be a photographer? Does he have to work at the Daily Bugle in order to
Especially
be Peter
now
Parker?
that we know the Daily Bugle is just fucking Alex Jones's website. What a good bit.
Yeah. So yeah, let's jump into that after credit sequence, right?
Okay, the first one. First of all,
Okay.
How about the twisting of the Kirsten Dunst swing scene? Because in real life, it'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
To swing through the city like that.
Yeah.
And Zendaya like hates it. I'm never doing that again. It's a good bit. Whereas like in, you know, Spider-Man 1 or 2 or whichever one it was, she's like loves it and it's like romantic. So it's like a fun little twist. The reveal, the post-death reveal from Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio of not only framing Spider-Man to have been the one to cause all that destruction, but then revealing his identity.
As
changing the game, baby.
As well as J. Jonah Jameson, right?
Well, yeah, that was unexpected and amazing.
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson.
Was J. Jonah Jameson in the Andrew Garfield movies?
No.
That character just didn't exist,
No,
right?
he was not there.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
But it's been I haven't
he's
seen
such
the
an
second
he's
one.
such an iconic level casting that they were like, we can't do it.
Yeah, why not?
We
Why
can't
not?
do it. We have to bring
I'm
him back.
completely fine with it.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Fuck yeah, it's cool.
Oh, I missed the high top fade.
Yeah, right.
But it's okay.
Yeah. Super fun to just cast J.K. Simmons
And that little
again as
like
J.
the
Jonah
again
Jameson.
like a 21st century spin on it. He's like he runs a conspiracy website. It's ridiculous. I don't know if the reveal is going to be I think it's going to be important moving forward, but I think they can get I don't think it necessarily is going to change everything. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because there's like people out there with the technology or just like people that can spread the message that like, oh no, that dude was a supervillain and he was just lying and trying to frame this Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I think going forward, you can have two camps. You know what I mean? There can be like the people who believe Peter Parker's Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and those who don't. And maybe over time, it sort of gets washed away. You know what I mean? In the daily news cycle of things. So like, I think it's really interesting to explore, and it's going to be a really big part of moving forward. But I think they can salvage it if they want to move forward with Peter with a secret identity.
This is like one of the, you know how like when you're writing, it's having an idea like this. We're like, okay, let's put it out there so that the entire world knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, right? Now, how do we fucking write ourselves out of this situation?
Yeah.
Like, how do we write ourselves
If
out
you
of this
want to,
corner?
they might not want to.
Well, the thing, like, just how what I mean is, like, how do you write yourself out of this corner? I mean,
Yeah.
like, how do you rectify the situation?
Yeah.
How is like,
How
what
does
do you
Peter deal with
do
it?
from there on?
Because
out?
I mean, a simple decision. Peter says, "All right, fuck it. I'm just going to go be a full-time superhero." That could happen. Or what probably will happen, it would be, to me, the most Peter thing would be like, he's going to be like, how the fuck do I stop people from believing this?
Right.
Imagine like Spider-Man 3 senior year, right? Peter's walking around hallways of high school and everyone's like, yo, is that? And he's like, no, I swear I'm not Spider-Man, I swear. Meanwhile, the Rhino is like destroying the street outside and he's got to escape and go fight him. So like,
Yeah.
it's like this weird thing. Like, are people going to still think he's a male escort? Like Susan Yang, I think she said her name was.
or
Like,
something like
that was a good bit in this movie
how
too.
what, yeah, how is he going to outthink the situation?
Exactly.
Right?
And
I
how
can
is he
see
going to
him-
utilize his connections to help him do it? Because this
Yeah.
is the MCU. This isn't just a Spider-Man comic. He can use everyone around him
Right.
to try to combat the situation.
Well, and maybe he uses that fucking imaging technology as
Maybe.
well to make it look like Spider-Man is out there while like he's in high school, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, look, I'm fucking sitting in class right now. I can't be out there fighting Rhino and be
Yeah.
sitting in the middle of biology, you know?
Yeah.
So that's, yeah. But it was really fun to see fucking J.K.
Oh, it was
Simmons
great.
again. And
The crowd cheered, like the audience
Oh,
in the
yeah.
theater
Everyone-
cheered.
yeah.
Everyone was like, fuck yeah, he's back.
Kate was like, what? What's going on?
Oh, really?
I was like, maybe he was.
He played
J.
this
Jonah- yeah.
character in the original Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah, and they brought him
And
back.
he's so good. Don't forget that also Elizabeth Banks is in that movie, those movies,
Yeah.
as the secretary. Yeah, there's a lot of people in those movies that are like,
Didn't you say that the girl character from the first movie was that character?
yeah, Betty Brant, the girl who dated Ned in this movie, is Elizabeth Banks.
Oh, the girl who dated Ned. Okay.
That's
all
why
right.
I had said that it would have been a good,
Okay.
it would have been a
That's
good
what you're talking
opportunity if they didn't dust Betty and Betty grew up, because then she could have already had a job at the Daily Bugles,
Gotcha.
and it would have been this kind of weird connection.
Gotcha.
Been like, I went to school with you, but now you're 5 years older than me. It's weird. You know what I mean? I think like Peter's dated Betty Brant in the comics before and shit. But yeah, they didn't do that, which it worked out because that bit is too good. Betty dating Ned bit is
Solid.
too good.
Solid.
What did you think of this? The actual post credit scene? That was the mid credit scene. The reveal of Ben Mendelsohn being Samuel Jackson the whole movie.
Yeah.
Talos is the character's name.
Talos.
from Captain Marvel,
Yeah. And
which was already an
Samuel
insane
Jackson was
spin
on a different planet.
Sorry,
Samuel Jackson was on a different
he's
planet.
in space somewhere. Looks like he's in a spaceship.
Yeah.
I don't entirely know what he's up to. The first thing I thought of was Sword. So, like, you know, I have SHIELD, the Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement Logistics Division.
Okay.
In the comics, there's also Sword, which is basically SHIELD in space.
Okay.
So that's what I thought maybe he was up to. But there's freaking scrolls everywhere in that scene.
What are we? Some kind of space force?
Exactly. Dude, that's going to be a show, dude. It's going to be an office-style show. Wild. Yeah, there's like scrolls everywhere up there. But they've already twisted... Okay, so the Kree Skrull War is an iconic comic book storyline from Marvel. And they've already twisted it completely on its head. So who knows what they're going to be doing regarding the Skrulls in the future. And I love that Ben Mendelsohn's character is this weird, like, he's like a Nick Fury figure. He's like a little spy they're sending around, but he's such a goober. I love how goofy he is. Like when she's like, you got to tell him. And he's like, he calls Nick Fury and he's like, oh, the kid did a good job. And then things went off the rails. Like he's just so weird and goofy. But yeah, I don't know. Like I'm so interested in where they're going to go with the Skrull stuff. Because traditionally the Skrulls are the bad guys and they infiltrate Earth, and you can't trust who's real and who's not, and a Skrull could be your neighbor or a Skrull could be Captain America, and you wouldn't know it, and it's super scary. But it looks like the Skrulls are going to be the good guys from this vantage point. And they've got the Eternals movie coming, which is going to be super weird. And nobody knows jack about that shit. That's more. I feel like the Eternals, like, remember when they made the Guardians of the Galaxy movie? And it was like, this is some weird shit to pull from Marvel. This is even weirder to pull from. This is the movie that's going to have like Angelina Jolie and Richard Madden in it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be a whack-ass movie. Or, I mean, the source material is whack to pull from. So I don't know how all that's going to be incorporated into their Marvel space stuff, along with Asgardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah. My ultimate reaction to fucking, what's his name? Talos. I was just like, oh, okay. What does that mean? That was my ultimate reaction.
Did you catch the weird things throughout the movie though? That kind of like, there were some random spots throughout the movie when I was like, that's a weird thing for Nick Fury to say.
Okay.
And then when I rewatched them, I was like, well, now it's like obvious what's going on.
Do you remember the specific?
When he first introduces him to Quentin Beck in that bunker, he says, he's from Earth, just not your Earth. I was like, that's a weird way to phrase that sentence, because Nick Fury is also from Earth.
Yeah.
But he's not.
Our
There's
Earth,
There's another point when in that same scene when Peter's like, what about Thor? And he's like, off-world. What about somebody, blah, blah, blah. What about Captain Marvel? He says, don't invoke her name. You're like, that's a weird reaction from Nick Fury. He like very aggressively is like, don't talk about her. Well, now we know. It's because he has a deeply personal connection because Captain Marvel saved his family and his race.
Right.
So he's like, you don't bring her name up. And I feel like there's another one where in passing, Maria Hill and Nick Fury are walking, and he's saying, we knew that they were Kree sleeper cells. They're talking about the Kree. And I was like, oh, the first time viewing, I was like, oh, interesting little drop. That's like in Captain America 2 when Agent Stillwell mentioned Doctor Strange in passing. It's like a really quick thing that you have to be really paying attention
background
to.
shit, yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So there's like Kree on Earth that are like up to some shit. Well, now we know why he's paying so much attention to that, because he's a Skrull.
Right.
There's a bunch of little things like that throughout the movie.
Okay.
Where do you think you would rank this in Spider-Man movie hierarchy?
I really like the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. I'm
Me
not
too.
sure if I like
I think that
this
so
more than
far
Homecoming.
the Tom Holland movies are my favorite collection of Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
I think he's the best Spider-Man.
We've said this before, right? Like Tobey Maguire is the best Peter Parker, and Andrew Garfield was the best Spider-Man. But like Tom Holland is the best.
Tom Holland
both.
is like become best at both.
He's the best at both. Yeah.
I think it used to be where you could be like he's the best like if you gave them ratings and you were like, well, Toby is a 90 Peter and a 75 Spider-Man, and Andrew Garfield is like a 65 Peter and an 85 Spider-Man, and Tom Holland is like an 88. No, I think Tom Holland is just the best at being both of them.
Okay, so I'll bring up one thing that like I don't even necessarily say it's a flaw, but I was like, man, I wish I had more of that. I wanted a little bit more sassy Spider-Man. I think it just
More quips.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
you know what? We had a whole scene cut that's in the trailer.
Oh, really?
Remember the scene in the trailer where he's in
talking
the room
to
with the cops, and they're
yeah.
like, "You the next Iron Man?" He's like, "I'm too busy doing your job."
True. Yeah.
That got cut from the movie, and I saw an interview of Tom Holland talking about it, and he said it's probably going to be released as a short film.
Okay, cool.
It's going to be called like Peter's Errands. It's going to be him
cool.
It's apparently like it's him going to get his stuff he needs for his vacation. He needs to get his passport and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's like another scene in the trailer where he's talking to the sandwich shop guy. So he probably goes there in that same scene. And there's like a mob boss or something that he gets in a fight with.
Yeah.
There's like some mafia people.
Yeah.
That's what that scene is. And they cut it from the movie because they were like, we felt like the point of this was to like indicate how stressed Peter was and how much pressure he was feeling about the whole Iron Man situation. And we feel like we just, we get that across very
it's
easily.
not really necessary.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's fine.
But that's some high level quippy Spider-Man.
But like it makes perfect sense that like he's not being super quippy and sassy and stuff.
Because
when
that's
Spider-Man.
when he's going to do it, is when he's fighting dudes he doesn't feel emotionally burdened by and really physically threatened by.
Well, that, but also like a majority of his actual interactions, the conflicts that he's having with these, fucking elemental beings.
They're not conscious.
They're not.
creatures.
It's like you're
You can't
fighting.
quip something that doesn't know what you're saying.
Yeah. Like,
And then by the
it's
time
not-
he's fighting Mysterio, it's like he's so emotionally traumatized that he's not in that mode. Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't get as much as that, but I do really like a lot of that. Like, you don't get as much sass and quip, but when he first meets Mysterio and he's Spider-Man and he's got the little
He's got the gesture.
masquerade.
He says,
Yeah.
he says, I'm really strong and I'm sticky.
I'm really strong. Sir, let me help you, please. Like that fucking really just innocent. I was like, that's some quality Peter Parker.
His level of innocent Peter is so good. Like the amount of time when he calls everybody Mr. this and Miss, when he says bye Miss to Maria Hill as he's leaving and she's like, whatever. So good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. But
Happy's
like I
dating
could
Aunt
have,
May. There's so much going on in this movie. It's so good.
I could have enjoyed a little bit more.
A little more quipness.
Yeah, a little
You
bit
probably
more
would have gotten
quickness,
it
a
if that
little
scene
more
wasn't
sense.
cut.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, by far a really fun movie though. I mean, obviously doesn't have the flaws of Spider-Man 3. I would say I'm not sure if I like this one more than Homecoming, but it's a toss-up.
They're
for
just
me.
both so good.
They're both so good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like maybe if I didn't know the Mysterio thing was coming, the way I didn't know that we all knew Michael Keaton was Vulture, but we didn't know the personal connection.
True.
That was what was killer.
Mm. And that was also like, it was an interesting, the way casting went a lot into the how effective that twist was, because Zendaya was mixed race.
Liz. I don't remember what the actress name is.
I'm sorry.
From Spike Lee's movie last year.
Black
Klansman.
Yeah.
I forget her name.
Yeah. Because that character was mixed, and you like kind of just assume that she's just
Black parents or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, you don't even think about the fact that maybe Michael Keaton's her dad. Yeah. It's a good twist.
I feel like that's like where the future of twists is going to go. I feel like there is just a lot, like a huge. I'm not just saying specifically with utilizing ethnicity. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there is a lot of avenues for of creativity with twists within movies that just isn't utilized. I think that Spider-Man: Homecoming was a good, because the way that they utilized ethnicity to twist audiences' expectations. I thought I feel like the utilization of the structure of film itself and the things that we kind of have inherently as audience members that like see a lot of movies frequently, right? Because you kind of build up the language for cinema in your head. Even if you've never taken a film class before, you understand what a flashback is. I don't even want to bring up the specific movie that I'm sort of referencing right now because it would kind of spoil it. But that is an interesting way that people have used that twist. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a lot of different creative, instead of just going the Pixar route and just being like, oh, the good guy was actually the bad guy the entire time.
Or I'm related to you.
I think that there's a lot.
Like the Star Wars is iconic because it was like it was out of nowhere. But the amount of that I hate when it's just like, oh, I'm your dad. It just needs to be executed well. And I feel like usually when people try to do that, it's not. And I've talked to you about it before, and I hope that this Spider-Man franchise doesn't go this direction. If part of your backstory of your character is that they are orphaned or they lost a parent or something, and then your big reveal is that they never died, hate it.
Yeah, you don't.
I hate it. I hate it. They did it in Jessica Jones season 2. They were gonna do it in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. There's a cut scene from Amazing Spider-Man 2 with his dad showing up and talking to him at a funeral, at a graveyard.
I really, a good twist can fucking make a movie.
Oh yeah.
You know, like fucking M. Night Shyamalan, like his fucking tentpole movie was one that like utilized a twist in a really creative way.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like it can make, not only make a movie, it can make a fucking career.
Well, that's like, M. Night's thing is he's the twisty guy.
If M. Night never made Sixth Sense, like would he still have a career in movies?
I don't know. What if he only ever made Avatar? Then I would guess no.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's such a difficult thing to do creatively, and while also doing it organically within the film, because like he's been chasing that fucking lightning in the bottle his entire career.
Yeah.
And the different ways to implement twists, and hasn't been able to do it successfully in a while.
It's hard. All right, I think we've covered a good portion of our thoughts on Spider-Man Far From Home.
Is there any other bad things that you can think about this movie?
I don't think there was a single thing I didn't like in this movie.
Yeah.
Loved
Same
everything
here.
about it.
Like I said, I could use a little bit more sassy Spider-Man, but it just didn't come organically to the character, really. Just because, like you
There
said,
wasn't really a
cut
moment for
scenes
it.
and and those weren't the type of villains that he was going
Yeah.
against. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the future of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Future of the MCU is really interesting. I think I could safely say that you and I would both recommend seeing this movie.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I think that's going to be all for us. Check out Chris on his website, chrismichaelstott.com, chrismichaelstott on Instagram. I am Davinwell25, Twitter and Instagram. The show is The Chris and Kyle Show on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on all the podcasting platforms. tcaks Pod on Twitter. There is a poll out there right now with 2 movies on it. I don't remember what they are off the top of my head. Midsummer and Yesterday. That's right. Midsummer, and it's a neck and neck race. It's very tight right now. So hop on over to either Twitter or Facebook and vote on those.
What do we do in the event of a tie?
Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah,
we've never talked about that. Do we just flip a coin? Do we see them both and make 2 episodes? I feel like that would be dangerous because then the audience could revolt against us and always try to make both.
I say if there's a tie, the show ends. We just stop.
Oh my God. If there's a tie, we'll never do anything again. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. We'll do an emergency poll. I'll be like, this poll will be up for 1 hour.
Yeah.
Vote. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah. That's it. We out.
Stay weird.